that we don't really, then we fully kind of get it. So the experience is so important. And it's so important to share our story or share our experience because it's the collective story. Part two in these books shows us that this isn't the special person that has the experience or the ability. This isn't the guru on the mountain, that this is each one of ours, birthright, some people will say. It's the innate essence that is a part of us. And when we can tune in and pay attention and experience it, it literally transforms us from the inside out. And sharing our story lets other people know. It almost gives them permission, not that they need it. It allows them to realize that this again is that we're connected. We're connected, and that the universe is comprised of sentient beings, loving sentient beings that are waiting to communicate with us and support us and guide us. And in turn, we can help them as well. So our stories are important. And so we have three storytellers today. I'm going to introduce them. I'm going to ask them to share a short, brief part of their story. And then we're going to open it up for questions as well about the stories and the phenomenon. So the first one, and if you can, raise your hand. The first storyteller is Eden Amadora. And Eden is a divine feminine mystery school teacher and embodiment guide who focuses on supporting individuals in their personal and spiritual growth. Her story, Love, the Moon, and the Queen Bee, is published in the book Goddess, Blessed Reunions with the Feminine Face of the Divine. We have Sherry Breyer. Sherry is the CEO of Women Rock Project, the largest online video library of women's wisdom, and the founder director of Inner Rhythm Movement Arts in Marin for 35 years. Sherry's story, Initiation, is published in Portals, Energetic Doorways to Mystical Experiences Between Worlds. And that's by Freddie Silva. And Freddie will be at our Atlanta Expand in June. And the third storyteller, even though she's not on the stage with us right now, but I'll introduce her, is Anne-Marie Holmes. Oh, here she is. Anne-Marie, come on up. I'm so glad you're here. I wasn't sure where you were. The stairs are right there. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So Anne-Marie is a feng shui specialist, earth intuitive, and storyteller. Her story, Living with a Water Spirit, is published in Nature, Divine Remembrances of Plants, Stones, Trees, Stones, and Landscapes. So I'm going to start by asking Eden if she could please share, a brief 2 to 3 minute recap of her story, Love, the Moon, and the Queen Bee.
Thank you. Thank you, Ariel. So in my mystical experience, I am sitting in ceremony, and the music is so ecstatic that I decide to just lie backward. And I'm looking through a very gauzy cream-colored scarf, and I'm looking up in the space, and I see above me suddenly the moon. The moon then transforms into this breast of the goddess. The feeling I have is being nourished by the milk and honey of the mother. And I reach my hands up and feel like a baby in heaven, kind of almost like this innocent joy. Such a high frequency of ecstatic bliss and joy fills me. And I hear, "You've been elected." And I think, what a strange word. Elected to what? Suddenly there's an experience of rising, of lifting upward. And as I'm watching this breast, it transforms back into the moon, and then a giant bee. And then all of a sudden, I see the whole field as an interconnected network of hexagons everywhere. And I realize I'm in the eye of the bee. And as I'm in the eye of the bee, I become a point of light that's drawn magnetically into one hexagon that opens up into a lit golden temple. I'm flying like a tiny point of consciousness and light into this amber glowing temple, and every hexagonal honeycomb side becomes a pillar of light. It's like I'm growing tinier or the pillars are growing larger. It's the feeling of this massive temple of light. I'm drawn unexplainably deeper and deeper, as if it's like a honing device in my heart towards this innermost, most massive generator of light in this temple. And as I hover, a tiny bee, I think I'm a bee at this point, I'm hovering in front of this pillar of light. And in the very center, I see what is generating the light. And it's, in my vision, a winged lion. And I hear, "Welcome back." And it was like a wink, like, and there was no moving of the mouth. It was just head to head, kind of telepathic, like, "Welcome home." And then I'm suddenly drawn right back into my human body, where I'm told by my partner who's sitting next to me, "Shh, you sound like you're having an orgasm." And I had no idea all that time the ecstasy I was experiencing in my human body was creating all that noise. So the next day, I awoke to my Facebook alerts, and I follow this astrologer called Mystic Mama. And she says, last night was the full moon in June, sometimes known as the honeymoon, where the pollen on the planet is the thickest all year. And it creates this amber glow in the night sky, and the moon glows in this gold light. And my whole body was just like, direct, mystical contact with the spirit of the bees. And in so many goddess cultures, she is represented as the bee, the mother, the queen bee, and acolytes of Aphrodite are called the Melissae, which stands for like the bee priestesses. So this was a very powerful experience for me as an ordained priestess and divine feminine disciple of the mother. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Hi, I'll take you on a journey through the portal that I stepped through. I am climbing up a narrow, steep passageway to the king's chamber in the Great Pyramid in Egypt. I feel the pressure of the thousands of tons of stone pressing down upon me. I enter the room, the chamber, and I'm pressed up against the wall and pressed up against all of these other tourists who are jabbering and laughing. And I am astounded that they don't realize that this is a very special place. I sit down, or I lean up against the wall. Finally, they leave, which is, I'm so grateful, because I am hoping for a mystical, significant experience. They all leave, and I am left there with 3 of my companions that I traveled with. I lean up against a wall, and I feel the hard stone on my back. I slip down the wall to sit on the hard stone floor. I start to hear a sound, which gets louder and louder. It turns into a voice, and then turns into a chant, which grows louder and louder and louder. I feel a vibration running up and down my spine. All of a sudden, my eyes flash open, and I experience myself in a crystal, a clear crystal pyramid. I experience myself as energy. I feel that I am the pyramid itself, experiencing its own consciousness. I'm there for, I don't know how much time it is, but then I start experiencing the people that are coming by myself as this pyramid. I experience the desert before the pyramid was even there. I experience the builders, thousands of builders building this pyramid. I experience the desert being filled with water, the pyramid being covered by water. I experience then the sand blowing in and covering the pyramid for eons of time. I realize that I am this pyramid. I am the consciousness of the pyramid. And I am very grateful. All of a sudden, someone comes into the chamber, and I awaken, or my eyes open, and I stand up and wobble out of the pyramid. And as I come down, as I and my companions come down, I realize that they also have had some kind of transcendent experience. And we sit and we talk about it, and we realize that all of us, the four of us, had all had experiences with death as very young children, and that we all had this affinity and fascination with ancient Egypt. And why is that? Well, the ancient Egyptians believe, and the Egyptians now even believe, that they're totally attuned to death and to the afterlife. So that was my experience. And I do recount that in the Portals book, and I wrote a whole book about learning to be an Egyptian temple dancer. And it's called Doorways to Ecstasy, A Dancer's Initiation.
Well, I'm going to take you to visit a water spirit, living with a water spirit. I had recently moved into a studio, and on this land was a wonderful stream that surrounded the whole property. It's partly why I moved there, be around the water. And so I'm happily walking down my pathway to get to my studio. And my experience of the water, I couldn't see it. I could hear it. I could hear the bubbles. I could hear the frogs, but I couldn't see it. So I'm walking down the walkway, and all of a sudden I have this feeling like, get away. I went, oh, goodness, what is that? Don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to any humans. You don't take care of me at all. I went, excuse me, I just got here. Hello. I don't care who you are. I don't talk to humans. And I realized in my feeling sense that this was a huge water being from that stream. Extreme sadness and like, whoa, is he wounded or what? And then on the other part is I have to walk by him every day when I come and go. It's like living with a grumpy neighbor, you know? And I went, I don't want to disturb you, but we have to, what can we do? I don't care I don't want to hear you. You figure it out. So, okay, great. Well, I've had, water is a very important ally for me. So I said, well, this will be a good challenge. So what I decided to do was to go down to another part of the stream that wasn't being affected, that wasn't a part of his very close kingdom. And I brought flowers. I sat down and I asked forgiveness and I asked permission and said, I'm so sorry, but I want to offer these flowers. And as the ripples go out, the resonance of these ripples with my prayers, with my intention, may those ripples reach beyond this stream and touch people to begin to awaken. So I would do that, and the frogs would come out hoping for a treat. The fish would all swim up hoping that that was more than a flower. But I just kept doing it. And I would look over every now and then to just see how the water being was. Totally shut down. Nothing, nada. So I went down and kept going. I was taking care of some dogs one time at this property. And I came back out, and all of a sudden, and it was a muddy morning, I noticed an opening, just a slight one. You know, it reminded me of the parlor, like at the palace in the Queen of England's palace. And it was like the parlor room opened up, just, the door squeaked. And I went, oh my goodness. And I thought, I'm going to go change my clothes. It's like having tea with the queen, So the little kid. And then all of a sudden, this owl flew out and said, no, this is tentative. That could shut down in a minute. This is an invitation, and you must honor it now. Nature has no time. And somehow you triggered something, so go. So I took my muddy clothes and went and sat right in the opening that I could feel. I made an offering, put the flowers in, and just sat. Didn't say anything, but I just felt a presence opening. So I kept coming for another couple of months. I would just be quiet. It was really, the creek was very polluted, so the flowers didn't move very much in that spot, but I did it anyway. And after a while, maybe another month went by, but I was very consistent. I was there in that spot, and it was a clear day, and a mist started just moving slowly in front of me. And I went, okay, this is something a little scary. And I just sat there and kept breathing. And eventually a face started to come. And it was something, this is in Hawaii. I'm doing this in Hawaii, on the island of Kauai. And there's a name for a major water spirit, and that name is Mo'o. And this Mo'o's face kept coming to me. And in deep appreciation and tears in my eyes, I heard, thank you for hearing us. You can't imagine what it means to us to be seen and heard. And I really felt incredible gratitude and thought, wow, maybe we've really started something, So then I got permission to bring friends, and we would ring bells and sing on the water. And it was really beginning to flow, except another morning opened up, and all of a sudden the owl flew out and said to me, get down here right this, come. And I went, uh-oh, it's a terrible feeling. What happened? And what had happened is the neighbors across the way had started poisoning their trees so that they could feel an opening and see the view better. And I'm like, I went, oh my gosh, did I make it worse, by trying to help? just in these little small ways. And I went to and looked over at the being, and it totally shut down again. It'd gone away. And so I was devastated. And I went back up and just sat and meditated and did go on with my day eventually. But the next day, I said, I've got to try to talk to him, see if he'll talk to me. And I went down and he said, you had to see this. I will open up again because of you and because of the others that you're bringing. And it's opening up something bigger than that. But you had to see this because people are still so afraid of really connecting with nature in a way that can really support them in their everyday life. It's too scary to feel. And so with that, I knew and heard from him, you're not finished here with me. You're just beginning. This is a whole new role for people learning about how to work with water. This is water, but all of nature, that where we're hurting, just come and do small things and watch what can happen. And so that's what I kept doing. Oh.
And a fascinating 3 very different stories. You know, it really illustrates that we all have opportunities, openings, and they could be very different because we're very different beings, even though we're all connected in this sentient soup we talked about this morning. So we're going to have to let the stories speak for themselves because we're going to have Suzanne Giesemann come up next for her part. But I'd like to just ask each of the storytellers, if you have a website, just share your website so that if people are interested and they want to connect further, that they can connect with you. But I do hope, can we see a round of applause? Did you enjoy the stories?
You can find more about me on EdenAmadora.com. It's just how it sounds, like the Garden of Eden, and then Amadora. Okay.
I'd like you to go to womenrockproject.com and you'll see there's over 500 videos and text about women who have overcome different things to create a new life. And so, yeah, that's the main thing. And if you want to know more about me and the things that I do, sherrybreyer.com. Thank you.
I have a website. It's called earthspiritspaces.com. And also in your blue bag, the swag bag, I have a short gift for you and also an offer of a Zoom class to learn more about developing your sensitivity to the earth and her messages like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to ask Suzanne Giesemann to come up and we're going to. So now we're going to unlock the power of spirit communication with Suzanne Giesemann.
Hi, everybody. Great to see a lot of familiar faces and some new friends. Wonderful. So flew in yesterday from Hilton Head, South Carolina, and knew I had about a 45-minute ride from the airport. And I met my assistant, Stephanie. We came in from 2 different places in the US. And I, a few days earlier, had planned to get an Uber ride. That was going to be the easiest way to get here. And then that afternoon, I heard, no, reach out to the local Helping Parents Heal group. Any of you who has a child across the veil or knows anybody with a child across the veil, you're going to want to check out helpingparentsheal.org. It's my favorite support organization. They support a discussion of the afterlife. And I know I'm meeting several members here tomorrow, but I heard get just the right parents in the car and you can just chat with them and their kids on the way to the hotel. And I thought, they might think I'm trying to go on the cheap, and skip paying for an expensive Uber ride. But I knew that it was not that at all, that I was being set up by some kids across in the spirit world. So reached out and I said, you guys figure out who the best person is to pick me up, and they can bring a passenger. So we get maybe 2 moms in the car. So we had 2 moms pick me up yesterday, and I have a couple to take us back. But it was exactly what I hoped for. And I said in advance, I will have gotten up at 3 a.m. and flown all day. I will be tired, but I have a feeling we'll be able to make a connection. So I get in the car and I said, hi, ladies, nice to meet you. I had no idea who they had across the veil, but I said, this is how it's going to go. Isn't that exactly what I said? This is how it's going to go. We're just going to talk. And when your kids are ready, they're going to talk too. And it's exactly what happened. Suddenly, I said, okay, you have a son. And I know this pertains to him. And who's the one with the trellis and the roses? And I won't go into more details, but right from the back seat, oh my God, that's mine. And we just kept getting all this evidence about these 3 children, actually, 3 children to the 2 women. And it reinforced what I have come to know over the years, that I teach people how to connect. And we go through processes. I'll be teaching that tomorrow in a workshop. There are systems you can use. And for years, I thought this is what you have to do. And you have to sit and set an intention and expand your consciousness and go through whatever ritual you have. And then you tune into the exclusion of all else, until I started having these experiences where it's just natural. Our loved ones who have passed are right here. Just a different channel. So it's like you have 2 TVs playing at once, and we're looking mostly at the physical earth world channel, but with intention, we just kind of set that aside and shift your focus to the other TV, the other channel. But then they blend sometimes, and it's just very hard for our brains. I know we have at least 1 neuroscientist in the audience. It's very hard for our brains to process 2 different channels at once. But with training, you can do that. And we would talk to the kids for a while, and then I'd say, oh, what's that? And oh, look, there's the Bay Bridge. And we're talking, oh, now your daughter's saying this. And it was just a conversation. So those of you who don't know my background, I love to teach people about mediumship, because a lot of people think you have to have been born seeing spirits. You have to have a special gift. Well, you all have a special gift. It's called the soul. It's who you are. And that's what makes the connection with the spirit world. But I didn't know that at all until my mid-40s, when my stepdaughter was struck and killed by lightning. And seeing her body at the funeral in her Marine Corps dress blues uniform, I knew we're more than these bodies. I knew that her special spark somehow survived that lightning strike. And I determined I would try to connect with her myself. Now, my background kind of got in the way for a while, because for 20 years I was a Navy officer, retired with the rank of commander, and was just telling Anodea, I'm just now learning to relax my body as much as my brain. You might notice I still stand a little straight, but I was a commanding officer of a shore unit. I joined when women were not allowed on most ships, so I didn't go to sea. It was all ashore. I was a special assistant to the head of the Navy, and in my last job, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs asked me to be his aide. So I got to fly on Air Force One and Air Force Two all around the world. We met with kings and queens, went in on those top secret hearings on Capitol Hill. It was an amazing career, but I had no idea I would have a second career until Susan passed. Never meditated, didn't even have any religious background, certainly no spiritual path. And just all of that changed with Susan's death. So I began meditating that week of her funeral. I don't know how I knew in 2006 that that was the key. All right. This really only happens when I'm presenting or teaching. My guides snag me. I don't do this in normal conversation. Oh, right. They just said, yes, you do know how you knew to meditate. I know now. That was the soul. All of us have certain things that we just know, and from time to time they bubble up and we can't explain it, but we just know. And I didn't know at the time why I knew and why I was so compelled to meditate daily. But that is one of the keys for most of us who are a little blinded as to our true nature. The key is sitting quietly with a singular focus so that the monkey mind quiets down and your awareness expands. See, we can sit in meditation for years and just be calm, and we will relieve stress. We will feel more peaceful. But if you set an intention to connect with a certain loved one, that's training yourself to connect with that other channel that's right here. Really excellent analogy I like to use is that if I had a TV up here, a nice flat screen TV, and we were watching a channel and there were people on the screen, there's not a person in here that thinks the actors are actually inside the TV, right? But if I take that TV and I smash it on the ground, where did the signal that was showing those people go? Where did it go? It's still here. It's right here, except that these instruments are not programmed to perceive the frequencies that are displayed and picked up by the instrument of the television set. See, these are vessels, these are instruments that display a frequency, and we humans have this certain frequency. If I were to not be careful and step off the stage and crack my head and this instrument no longer functions, where did the Suzanne signal go? That's huge. Where did this soul go? It didn't go shooting off to another dimension that I can point to, and it's out here. It's still here. All of our souls are here, and our loved ones are here in awareness, intermingling. They're having another experience. The program said, I'm going to tell you what is the afterlife like. It's a lot like this, the immediate astral, upper astral realm, where people, they're still people, interact with each other, but they have different rules in that realm. They don't have gravity, and time doesn't unfold like it does here. And they get to play in multiple places at once. As one of my dear friends, Brenda, who passed and came back to tell me, she's dropping in on 3 people at once and tells me what those 3 people are doing, and I validate it. So you can really multitask really well across the veil and create instantly. Oh, I always wanted to go to the pyramids in Egypt, and you're there and enjoying that. And I love that I do readings for people and they tell me what they're doing across the veil. Like the man, his wife, my client said, after he proved his presence with evidence, can my husband tell you what he's doing across the veil? So I asked him, and I said, this sounds crazy, but he says, I'm standing firmly on 2 feet and playing golf every day. And she said, oh, I'm so happy to hear that, because golf was his passion. That's evidence. But he had his leg amputated a year before he passed, and he couldn't golf anymore. What is the first thing he said? I'm standing firmly on 2 feet and golfing every day. But they've told me, those in spirit, that it gets a little old getting a hole-in-one every time. So you get to experience what you never experienced here, or re-experience what you loved. You can eat all the chocolate you want and not get fat. Oh boy. So very different emotions across the veil. Many of the ways that those in spirit let us know they're around are include dreams. And how many have had what you believe is an actual dream visit from a loved one? Yeah, it's very common and very solid and clear, right? You don't forget it in the morning and try to grasp and it goes away. But those dream visits, the actual ones, are positive. If they're scary, frightening, negative, that's your own subconscious trying to work through stuff. Because across the veil, they have the bigger picture. They're not all knowing, as Brenda told me right away. You don't become God, she said, just like that. No, you do see more, but not all is known right away. But they, having that higher perspective, suddenly understand why people make mistakes. And so mediumship, where one person acts as a intermediary for those in the spirit world to those here who haven't yet learned to tune in, gives those across the veil a chance to say what they didn't say, what they want to say now that they have the bigger picture. They do go through a life review. So I invite everybody to do your own life review every night. How did I do today? I've kind of screwed up there. I could have made a better choice here or there, so I'm going to make amends first thing in the morning, so I don't have to find a medium and do it from the other side. Truly, what is mediumship? That's part 1 of the book, Mediumship. The subtitle answers it: sacred communications with loved ones across the veil. It's simply changing the channel to the point where you can have your own communications with loved ones, or as this book shows, it's when those across the veil initiate communication in such a way that you cannot deny they're here. I call them NOEs. You've heard probably lots of acronyms. Military people love acronyms. So, like an NDE is a near-death experience. An OBE is an out-of-body experience. An STE is a spiritually transformative experience. An NOE is a no other explanation moment than when you know that was your loved one. And so most of the stories in part 2 of my book are NOEs. My 2 stories are traditional medium sits with client, connects with their loved ones stories. The other 30 stories are people's personal experiences of when I know that was my dad, or I know that was my mom. I love the stories in this book. They had so many submissions, and happily Ariel and her group winnowed them down and just gave me the final selection. I didn't have to do all that. But as I'm reading them, I'm sitting there in my living room. My husband, Ty, is across the room, and I can't tell you how many times I said, "Oh my God, Ty, you got to hear this one." Because they're just, who ever gets tired of these NOE stories? They're so wondrous, and the soul knows this is truth. This is why we love to share them. It's scientifically proven, maybe Lala, you can validate this, that hearing other people's stories opens you to having your own experiences. And that's because one of the main keys, as I say in part 3 of the book, practices, to making a connection starts with belief. That's why we hear the stories, to open our minds to possibilities. If you don't think something is possible, you likely won't have that experience. You won't notice it. You won't be co-creating it with consciousness. For the first 10 years of me doing readings for others, I rarely had cases of those across the veil coming through to apologize for abuse or cases like murder. Because I was such a Pollyanna, I couldn't imagine people doing that to each other. And they couldn't get it through to me. But unfortunately, now having done readings for 16 years, I know what people are capable of. And those across the veil are very eager to apologize. And we won't have time today. Maybe tomorrow in the workshop, I'll be able to tell you 2 examples I had when some of what you would call the worst offenders actually came through. Interesting dynamic, learning about, what we consider hell versus what the afterlife, what's really going on. It's all about the soul's growth. It's all about love. Everyone is received in love, but whether or not they're able to, I kind of put it in my own vernacular, mix back in with the general population, depends on if they are willing to accept responsibility for choices made in their incarnation. So, mediumship is about several things. When I went to school and studied with some of the best evidence-based mediums in England and here in the US, Janet Nohavik and Mavis Patil, I've written both of their biographies, wonderful evidence-based mediums. They said, the point of mediumship is to prove the continuity of consciousness. And that's why I'm proud to say I'm an evidential medium. That means if I'm going to give a reading for someone, it's going to have verifiable details, evidence about your loved one in spirit that I couldn't possibly know and that I couldn't find on Google, Facebook, TikTok, wherever. A good ethical medium would never look up anybody in advance, and they never have. But I love those things like the young man. I said, your son's showing me a toothpick hanging out of his mouth. I feel like he had this in his mouth all the time. She goes, oh my God, that's my son. Everybody knew he had that toothpick. But this was before Facebook was big. That kind of thing. And then when that same person in spirit, it's not an energy, it's not a spirit, it's a person in spirit, when they say, I love you so much, it's backed up by the evidence they already gave us. It's not the medium trying to make you feel good. I'll sense a mother in the spirit world, and I will never say, oh, your mother's here and she loves you so much, unless she says it and lets me feel it. Because some people's mothers, as I've learned, far too many mothers and fathers, as I've learned from it, connecting with them, weren't able to say that when they were here. But boy, when I see this symbol, when they go like this, that means my eyes have been opened. It's all about love. I didn't get that when I was here, and I'm sorry. I can tell if a spirit person never said, I love you. I have certain symbols and I can feel it, I know it, but boy, are they eager to say it. So mediumship is about showing the continuity of consciousness. It is about allowing those in the spirit world to say what they want to say. And those are usually apologies, asking for forgiveness, and saying how much they love us, and letting people here know they're okay. I have not met a soul that is not okay across the veil. Not a single one, no matter how they passed. And in light of the news of the plane crash in Washington the other day, this is very important to share. Every soul that passed suddenly, I know they passed suddenly because I see charades. I'm starting to see faces now, just starting after all these years. It's more important for me to feel them and get a real sense of their essence. But I see charades, and everyone who passed suddenly does this. And I know they passed suddenly, and I know that means my soul shot out of the body before I felt any pain. So important to know, because I'm thinking about these people on that flight. And, did they suffer? And I know they did not. And there is a bit of retrograde amnesia as well. So that there is no doubt some people suffered. I know some of our loved ones suffered. We heard their cries, or we can imagine their cries. The soul dissociates from that. I don't say things just to make people feel better. I get it over and over and over in readings, backed up with verifiable evidence. I love sharing the story. So I went back through my archives. I wanted to share some. I knew there would be people here who've been to a bunch of my workshops. I wanted to get some stories you don't know. So I was reminded of my husband and I take the show on the road for about 6 months every year. We're so excited. How many people know my book, Wolf's Message? The documentary's coming out in 2 months. I get to see the first full version tonight. I'm so excited. And my husband the other day just said to me, we were all set to sell the bus. 2 days ago, he said, I'm getting itchy. What if we take the documentary on tour? So we're going to do the whole country this year with the documentary. So if you're on my email list, we're coming to a town near you. Okay. So because we travel so much and I do monthly webinars with the latest and greatest teaching from Spirit, I know I have people that love in community all over the country, and I trust our community. So I will go on Facebook and not say why I'm asking, but I'll say, so anybody here live near, this the one was in Havelock, North Carolina? And these people write back, and I reach out and I say, I have to do a webinar. May I come to your house and use your internet? I mean, it's crazy, right? But I trust these people, and it has led to and then I say, and I'll give you a reading. That's my way to thank you. So it's wonderful. So there are these two. That's 30 minutes already. These two lovely women were married and had 6 kids, 3 biological. One of them was carried the baby, and 3 that they adopted. And they said, sure, come over to the house. And I did my webinar. And the next day came back and sat on their couch. They had 6 kids' pictures on the wall. The kids were at school. I didn't know. I knew they had a child across the veil, but I didn't know which of the 6 kids it was. And you sit down, and this is one of the things that comes through the process of learning mediumship. You learn to trust Spirit. This sidebar here is, to me, the greatest benefit and the reason we as souls are gifted with the opening of our awareness to allow us to tune in. The greatest benefit is coming to know who we really are. It's not about these gifts and the wonder of the NOEs. To me, to understand that we are all souls, for me to walk about and see the soul in all of you now, to feel such love for all of humankind that I never felt when I was in the military, and you have your hierarchy and you have me versus you and separation. To have come to know really at our essential level, we are this energy information that sounds very impersonal, but this divine connection. And where there is no separation, what do we call that? What do we call that? Thank you. Yeah, we call that love. So you come to trust this divine intelligence when your heart's in the right place and you're sitting there not to show off to somebody, not to look good, knowing it's not about you, it's about healing and letting people know your loved one is right here. I sat and I said, okay, here we go. Let's dance. That's what I say to the spirits. Sometimes I say, come now, but it was let's dance. That means you take your energy field and you merge with mine, and I'm going to become one with you so that I can tell what you were like. The test of any good reading is your sitter, the client, walks away and says, oh my God, that was my loved one. Not, well, I think that was them. I've had my own readings with other people that just not sure. And I've had some wonderful, wonderful readings too. But that's the difference. You know, that's why I know that's why the spirits don't let me see them. Because it's one thing to say, well, your loved one has brown hair down to here and blue eyes. That's nice. Yep. But when you say your loved one was just loved everybody, but was really down on themselves. And she smiled all the time, but you knew that on the inside, she was really insecure. And I mean, you just capture the nuance and the essence of them. And then the details about how they passed and what kind of work they did and their favorite memories. That's how you capture the essence. So I sit and I say to their child, whoever it is, come now. And this was the most unusual reading. I said, I feel suddenly very uncoordinated. I can't use my arms and my legs. I'm in a wheelchair. And they said, yes. And I said, in fact, this is a little boy, and he's telling me he was completely nonverbal. Yes, he was. And I said, I hear this banging behind me, and I hear this just a loud yell, more like a grunt, a yell, and banging on the wall. This is how he got your attention. They said, that's his bedroom wall right behind you. I'm sitting on the couch. That's his wall. He would just give a guttural yell and bang on the wall, and that's how they knew to get him. There was no doubt we had him. That's the way I put it. He's right here, nonverbal in a wheelchair, but talking to me. Why? Across the veil, you don't need words. You communicate telepathically. There are new studies now about autistic kids that just know things that they can't describe. The soul knows it all. Our souls are communicating nonverbally right now. I love you too. And so in a reading, they just send a message telepathically. It goes into this frequency processor that we call a brain, and the brain gives it words, and the words come out of my mouth. He says it was part of his soul plan to come into a body that he knew would be disabled because it allowed you to practice unconditional love, and all of his siblings to practice unconditional love. He had a twin sister, 11 years old at the time I did the reading. He passed at 10. He showed me how he passed, and they never had an autopsy. So we can't prove that it was an aneurysm, but the other things were so accurate, we can trust that now. Ultimately, it didn't matter because he's right here talking to us. So I came back later. I guess I got my timelines wrong. Yeah. I did the reading first. I went over to check the situation, did the reading, then went home and came back to do the webinar in the evening. I walked in the door and there's his 11-year-old twin sister. And she greets me at the door and she says, "Oh, you're the lady who talks to ghosts." And the parents look so embarrassed. And I said, "That's right." And this is when I just went like this and said to her brother, "Let her know you're here." And I said, "Well, your brother is not a ghost. He's always around you. And he tells me you have a Band-Aid on you right now." And she goes, "Yeah." And her two parents, where'd that come from? They didn't even know she had it. She got it at school that day. And I said, "And your brother says you have a new bar of soap that smells really good." She goes, "Yeah, it's a pink bar a friend gave me." I love the current events. That shows that they know we're right here. And I said, "And your brother shows me something about you guys popping balloons." He's going pop, pop, pop. And they looked at me confused. And I said, "Well, it's the popping, these round things." And suddenly all three of them knew at once. It's bubbles, soap bubbles. That was their thing to do. And they showed me later a video of him in his wheelchair and her beside him. And he was blowing bubbles and she's popping them. Beautiful. And then I said, "He's showing me a Hershey's candy bar. I know everybody likes Hershey's chocolate, but I know there was a special trip you took to Hershey's Park." And this was North Carolina. So Hershey Park, they had loaded up all 6 kids in a specially configured van for his wheelchair, and he was able to go to the park with everybody. A very special memory. So that's not a reading where you sit down and you go through a ritual. That's just a brother wanting to let his twin sister, who doesn't know how to handle all of this, that he will always be part of her life. Your loved ones who have passed will always be with you and have been part of your soul family from before this lifetime. So we can learn to connect with spirit. Isn't that amazing? And it is a process. And I do teach people how to do this. And it's not, however, well, you do this for 3 weeks and you will connect. There's no timeline. My Susan came to me ultimately after 3 years of daily meditation, focusing. "Susan, reveal yourself to me." Well, she didn't. But in the meantime, I'm opening up to other people's loved ones. I'm doing readings. I've connected with guides. I'm starting to channel my guides. How much time do I have, Ariel? 20 minutes left? Okay. When she came through, I put her to the test and I asked for a sign. And she gave me 3 things going on in her mother's life. And we were able to validate all of those so that when I went out and told my husband, "Oh my God, I finally connected with Susan," he didn't just go, "That's nice, honey." I said, "We're going to call your ex-wife and we're going to validate these 3 things." And they were absolutely things that his ex-wife had just done. But Susan came to me just a few years ago and says, "I deliberately held back Because if you had connected with me after 3 weeks or a month or even a year, it would have been mission accomplished. Now, maybe I'll talk to you every now and then. But in 3 years, I really got hooked. I had my own NOEs. So many NOEs that I didn't expect to have. We go into this hoping to hear from our loved ones who have passed. Okay, so we are going to do a guided meditation. I love this path. Can you imagine what I was like when I first gave presentations? We're going to write the script. We're going to have all this and prepare, and I'm going to know exactly what we're going to do. And on the plane, they gave me a few notes as the guides, what to talk about. But this morning, the guides said, people really want to connect with their loved ones. We'll do that again tomorrow. I thought we were going to do the long one tomorrow. We probably will, but they want me to guide you in a longer one. Now, if my voice changes, that's my guides taking over. There will definitely be a higher energy here to make it easier for you, but here's our goal. Every time you sit to meditate for a connecting with a loved one or any reason, have a clear intention. Our shared intention here today is to sense the presence of a loved one and let them tell you something. I'm going to guide you to what that is that they're going to tell you, so you don't sit here thinking about it. How do you know it's not your imagination? That is one of the top 3 questions everybody asks. How do I know I'm not making this up? It's unexpected. It's not what you would have thought of. You may already know it, but it stands out because it's kind of surprising. And very equally importantly, you just know. It's that emotional connection. So even if they just pop in and say, I love you, what else would they want to say? They want to tell you they love you. You are going to feel them. So our intention is to feel the presence of a loved one. It won't be long, but this is just I don't really say in naval aviation, a touch and go. But I'll be leading you through my process, but I'm not teaching the process as I go. Tomorrow's the steps, but it's designed to take you from this normal waking consciousness to the optimal state to make a connection. Sound good? All right. So with that as our intention, would you all close your eyes now? Imagine a shaft of white light coming down from above around your body and grounding you into the center of the earth. This is the channel through which the life force flows, connecting you to all that is. So to slow down the brain waves and relax the body, but remain mentally alert, we'll take in a nice slow breath. Follow my counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you exhale, release all tension. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Taking in another breath like that. It's called the vagus nerve breath. 2, 3, 4. As you exhale to the count of 6, scan your body for any tension and release it. 4, 5, 6. You're definitely more relaxed than before. How about one more nice slow breath in? And as you exhale this time, feel yourself sinking deeper, deeper, deeper into a beautiful relaxed state. You definitely have shifted your relaxation from a few moments ago, making it much easier for those in the spirit world to connect with you. What are you grateful for right now? Bring up at least 2 things for which you're grateful and feel that gratitude. You can think about it. You can say it silently. Feel the gratitude in the heart. Think of someone or something you love with all your heart. Feel that love, whether they're here or in the hereafter. You feel them in the heart because that's the center point that connects you with all that is. There is a light here that never goes out. Turn up that light brighter brighter, filling this entire ballroom and beyond with your light. Imagine a spiral of light coming up from that shaft beneath your feet, going in a clockwise direction around as it comes up around your ankles, your calves, up around your hips. Now, as it gets around your energy centers and spirals around you, it's picking out, pulling out any dense energy that is blocking you from connecting, going up, up, up past all of your energy centers, clearing out any density that might keep you from connecting, and it just whisks away the lower vibrations. You're now in a much more high vibe state. I'd like you to take in a nice breath. Visualize the edges of your energy field, the beautiful sphere around you, and using the breath, exhale your sphere outward in all directions as far as you can send it. Join me. You are limitless. Yes, you exist in a body, but you also now fill all space beyond space. You exist beyond time. You exist in this reality and beyond it at the same time. You can experience your loved ones even while still in a body. But do not cling to the idea that you are only a body. Be willing to set this idea, this limiting concept aside by silently agreeing, I surrender. Knowing that you are a being of light, shift your focus now high in that shaft of light, as high as you can go, sliding upward as if in an elevator shaft. And gazing about you now, you see a sky filled with lights. These are your fellow lights, souls, eternal beings who have known you for all eternity, drawn to you magnetically by your vibration. You know each other well, and they will appear as one you know in human form, but they need not, for you know each other by your ringtone. And we invite now one member of your soul family. You may expect a certain member, but those in the spirit world know well exactly who will serve the greatest and highest good by showing up now. Invite this light being to join you high up in this shaft of light, floating about in this sea of stars, and step in beside you. Both of you twinkling and shining and dancing as the spirit beings you are. Take a moment and welcome them with your light. Now, do you remember? And we are asking your loved one now to fill awareness with a long forgotten pleasant memory. Receive it now. And we are asking them now to flood you with their love. This you remember. And you may wish to say to them, where have you been? And with no words necessary, hear them reply, I am always here. There is nowhere but here. And knowing that you can meet any of your soul family here in awareness at any time beyond time, let them know you will be back soon. But for now, There is more experience and learning to be had. Send your gratitude for what has been experienced and slide back down the shaft of light. Coming back into the heart center. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Taking a nice, refreshing breath. Just like that. Come back into the room. Doesn't take long to expand your consciousness. Imagine if you did something like that every day. Expand your consciousness with belief that it's possible and the intention to connect with a loved one. Those are the keys. Belief, intention, and an expanded state of consciousness. Not everybody's meant to be a medium, but we all have the right equipment to make a connection. I probably have about 3 minutes left. Sorry? Can't hear you. 12 minutes. How wonderful. Good, good, good. That breath that we took, breathing into 4 and out to 6, it's called the vagus nerve breath. Just got a little lightheaded there. Because that extra 2 seconds at the end puts pressure, the rib cage pressing on the vagus nerve that runs from the brainstem all the way down through the torso. And that pressure on it triggers your body's relaxation response. So you're using your own breath and your intention to relax as much as possible. As the brain slows down, your human energy field vibrates even higher. Now those in the spirit world say, oh, good. Now they can sense us. So it's just fascinating to me that we can understand how this works and why it works and learn to fine tune our antenna. I could tell you stories for days of NOEs, but here's another one that I found. A woman in my community found out her husband passed and she asked for a reading. So we met. She actually came in person. She sat down. I knew nothing about her husband. I hadn't met her before. And I said, oh, wow, my heart is palpitating. I knew, and it goes like that he just died very suddenly and unexpectedly from a heart attack. Eyes wide. Yes, he did. I feel the physical symptoms in my body. Very evidential. And I said, well, he's showing me he was an engineer. He was. Nailed the personality. I said, he sends you songbirds as a sign. She said, oh my God. There's this little bird has been tapping on my window every day for weeks. It's driving me crazy. And I looked at him and I said, well, he says, now that you know, the bird can take a break. Okay. He didn't become the bird. They're merging their consciousness, just like we just merged with our loved ones. And they're saying, like remote control. Did you know my friend Brenda crash dived a bird once trying to send a message to her son? One friend, Lynette, reached out to me and she said, got a call from Brenda's son. He thinks she left a sign last night. Would you check with her? That's all she told me. I tuned in and I said, Brenda, what happened last night? She showed me. I called back. I said, she tells me she crash dived a bird. And she said, oh my God, it's right. Her son, Brad, is sitting in the house 2 a.m, thud at the front door, scares him. He goes out with a baseball bat, opens the door and a bird flies in. And it goes crazy, flying around the house, hits the wall and slides down behind the TV. Happily, the bird was okay. It flew out. But those across the veil have shown me we merge consciousness to get messages across. And I've had souls say it's like remote control and the birds think it's fun to be used as a messenger. So I said, okay, your husband says now that you got the message that he's trying to get your attention with this crazy bird, it can stop. And I said, but he's going to be flickering your lights. There was a lot more evidence in this reading. Well, afterwards, I got the nicest thing. Her son, who lived in a different state, made a little video of himself talking to me and sent it to me by email. Like, hi, Suzanne, I'm Mary's son, John, and my mom shared the video with you. And I have to admit, I was skeptical. And he said, when you said my dad flickered the lights, I said, that's ridiculous. And as I'm watching the video, the lights flicker. So you got to love that. Good job, Dad. So as I'm watching his video that he emailed me, his dad dropped in on me. This does not happen, these many drop-ins, but he's right here. And I just started writing down and emailed him. Your dad showed me the two of you playing pool. That's a pretty unusual thing. I don't see that too often. And now he's taking me back to, you're about 5 years old and you had a power boat, a runabout, about 20 feet long. And he says, these are just really great childhood memories. Oh, and I said, he's showing me an 8x10 photo, kind of dusting it off. And he says, this belongs on the wall. Now, notice these last three things I gave you. There's nobody here to give me verbal feedback, body language feedback. I'm just getting this straight from his dad, who is still a person in spirit. Well, that's what I'm trying to impress on you. It's not energy. It's not data. They're creative, clever, interactive people. So I sent that off to her son. He writes back and he said, my dad and I love to play pool together. Some of my fondest memories were boating with him when I was a kid. And that 8x10 photo, I held it just the other day and I wanted to put it on the wall, but I hurt so much, I didn't know if I could handle the reminder of him. What did his dad say? That photo belongs on the wall, son. What does that tell you? They hear our thoughts. They see what we're up to. They're part of your life. I teach systems. If the spirit world knows what you expect of them when you're connecting, they will comply. They want you to know they're here. So when I do a reading, every time those spirits know, I want to know, how did you pass? Definitely, what were you like? What were your likes and dislikes? What kind of work did you do? But oh, please give me a current event. So your loved one knows this is not just a one and done, drop in, give a reading, go. You're part of the ongoing life. They tell me about the weddings, the funerals, the graduations, the children who are born that they missed. People say to me, oh, well, yes, I do have a new granddaughter, but they were already gone. And I said, no, they're telling you they know about the granddaughter because they're here for that. They're celebrating that. So don't be afraid of death either. You won't miss anything. Those across the veil say it's more clear. They spend more time with you now than they did before. And yes, they give you your privacy. Although, maybe I shouldn't tell that story. And oh, by the way, that young man's mom contacted me and said, Suzanne, that bird never came back. The one that was pecking on the door. Yeah. So it is the most wondrous thing. I never lose the awe. I had 3 readings in 1 week, 10 days ago, that I had to call off. I could not get a good connection. That's a challenge. Every once in a while, I have to say, for whatever reason, I can't connect. After the second one in a row, oof, it's awkward. Our human side doesn't like it. It's disappointing. Then I did the third one. It was great. Okay, good. Then I did the 4th one. No connection. Once you know what it feels like to connect with a spirit, you know you're not making this up. They are right here. It's 2-way, real-time communication. But suddenly, 4 readings in 1 week. I reached out to a friend of mine who's my go-to energy healer. Because part of a process, all of us should be clearing our chakras, as Anodea knows so well, our energy centers. And there are practices you can do to make sure that that life force flows through you clearly and easily and flows so that we can connect. And so we do daily practices that I'll teach about how to be that clear channel vessel for spirit. But I knew something was up with me, but I couldn't tell what. So I reached out to my friend. That's why we have each other. We're all in relationship. Really, we are not independent. We're interdependent. And I said, Annie, something's up. And I think it stems from a conversation I had with somebody a week ago. She nailed it. She went into meditation. She said, this was the issue. something you said triggered something in her. She projected her stuff onto you and it hit a mother wound in you. And it was just wrapped around your system. So she was able to pull that out. And next reading I didn't have one scheduled for about 4 days. This is where the trust comes in. We're all part of something that's in the greatest and highest good of all of us. It's not just about, how much of a connection you can make. It's how we help each other. And I'm just so thrilled that we're back in the saddle again. So I know that one of the biggest challenges is people hear all these stories and you want to have this kind of connection right away. But I've shared with you how Susan held back for my growth. I learned so much about the flow of energy and trusting. Trust the process. Trust that you're like this blossoming plant that will just bloom when you're supposed to, but we have work to do first. But may that work be pleasure, and may our challenges be as painless as possible, but we sure do grow from them. And may we come to trust. We don't do this. We do this because we are spirit with the one S expressing through each one of us. To say we are God sounds blasphemous and has a lot of baggage with it. But we are consciousness in expression. We are source, spirit, God. Each of us, a sparkling light of that one light of consciousness. That's why mediumship is possible. And that's why you can connect with your own loved ones and maybe other people's loved ones. But if you're going to do it, please do no harm to anybody. You don't have to say everything. Nothing that would hurt them. And do it to serve spirit and your client and yourself. It's all about growing and healing and learning to love each other more. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Suzanne. Suzanne has a workshop tomorrow, making connections to loved ones in spirit. It's 6 hours. If you're interested, you can sign up at the registration desk. It's from 9 to, I think, 4. Our next speaker is Marilyn Alauria. And with Marilyn, you're going to journey with your guides, your spirit guides. And I want to give a shout out to New Living Expo, our sponsor for our event today. New Living Expo, I lost track of the 30th year. It's in May 9th to 11th, and Marilyn is going to be presenting at New Living Expo as well this year. So it's pretty special. So let's welcome Marilyn Alauria. Those are her friends, so.
I am going to want to probably ask questions, get questions. I know, but it may go with this, like Stephen, the way Stephen did. So is that okay?
Yeah,
Great.
that's
Okay.
fine.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. How you guys feeling? I hope good. I think we just need a little, I never liked going to like see a medium and look, all these freaking people are leaving. What the heck? And they would make you get up and dance. It's just not my thing. So I'm not going to do that to any of you. I promise. I do have paper with me because as much as I know this world really well, sometimes standing in front of a bunch of people when you're an empath can really throw you. So one of the things I've learned is to put like Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Raphael right across the stage so that I'm not picking up all your energy and I can work on my own, doing my own thing here. And I'd like all of you to do that too, because we're going to meet a guide. We're going to work with a guide. You're going to see, hear, and feel a guide. And I'm sure a lot of you are already communicating with guides, but we're going to go on a journey. And I teach in an interesting way. And you'll either leave like the rest of the people or you'll decide to stay. You will make your decision. So I want you to get comfortable. How many of you already are comfortable talking to your guides every single day, like while you're washing dishes or doing laundry? A lot of you, great. And how many of you would like to do it more and clear every minute, right? So this hotel, I moved to Marin 6.5 years ago, and I was in LA. And I didn't know where I was going to go. And my guides, I kept asking them and asking them and asking them. They wouldn't tell me. And one day I was in meditation. I was like, will you just tell me where to go? I have to get out of here. And all they showed me was a big yellow and black butterfly. And so I was like, I'm done with you. I was pissed. Just like those people I left. I walked out my door, and what was flying in my front yard? A big yellow and black butterfly. And so I moved to Marin. And it was the best thing I did and one of the hardest things I've ever done. And this is one of the hotels I stayed at when I kept flying up here to look for a house. And my guides, it was a very hard market to buy. It was a really difficult experience. And my guides were with me every way. They told me when I was going to buy. My house was sold already. My other house, I was like, I don't know where I'm going. The realtor's like, I don't know where you're going. I was like, I don't need that right now. I need help, you know? And they showed me every way. And as I was driving to this place today, I forgot that I stayed here. And I was driving and I was like, I really love it here now. I love it. It took a while for me to settle, to stop running. How many of us struggle with nervous system stuff? Trauma. Our guides help us with all of this. And as I was driving here, I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's full circle. Here I am again. And I want you in connection that way. I'm not using the paper so far, so let's see what happens. I want you communicating so that you're empowered. I was a reader. I was a teacher. I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm a psychic medium. I'm a teacher. I'm a coach. And people would come to me and they would be like asking me really important questions. Come pregnant and say, should I have this baby? Should I leave my husband? Should I go to law school? What are the lottery numbers? The lottery numbers, I wasn't giving up. Like there was no way, but leave the husband, don't have the kid, whatever. And the thing that I didn't like, and it was something that Suzanne said it too, it's about really doing what's right. Like my conversation was with God, whatever you feel, like that's where my work was. I didn't want to do this. How many of us really feel like we were called to do this? Right? It's like part of you and you're like, wait a second, I don't know if I want to do this. It's a lot of responsibility. And I realized that I was booked 6 months. I wouldn't do a year, 6 months in advance with a waiting list. I had a really great practice. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. I just want to teach people to do what I do. I want them to make those decisions on their own. And that's what I want for all of you today. So we're going to discuss the 3 things that I feel are so important to communicate. Really important. And then we're going to meet a guide. And you're going to see, hear, and feel a guide. You're going to learn the symbolic language of your soul. So you're going to learn how to break down a symbol and not need Google. And we're going to go from there and see where we go. But there's 2 things I want to tell you about really quick. You're also going to pick a guide, but I'll tell you about that in a second. In your bookmark things, I did this bookmark, right? On the back, there's this fancy dancy, don't do it now, but you can look for it if you want. There's a QR code. If you scan that code, I want you to think of a question. I want you to pick a number from 1 to 10. And then you'll see on this page, there's going to be things that you could purchase for up to 75% off. But you'll also find a guide. So you'll meet your very own guide. So there's a guide on this as well. So you'll see that. Another thing that I heard a lot of you talking about that I did not bring today, and I want to offer it up to you, is MarilynAlauria.com/purpose. A lot of you are struggling with your purpose, and I have a 3 equation: life experience plus skills plus passion equals purpose. So I have a freebie for that if you want it. I just think it's really, really good and will really help you. All right, so let's talk about the 3 things that are super important. Don't need that. First thing, can anybody guess what the first thing is that you really, really need to communicate with your guides? That's a good one, but it's not the first one for me. It could be for you, though. What else? Anybody else? Sacred space, good. Intention's great. Anybody else? Yeah. Who said it? All right, you can stay. Good. She said trust. Now, it doesn't mean that any of it is wrong at all, because the second thing you're going to learn, you're going to hear me talk about. When I started communicating with my guides, I was seeing a therapist who knew how to work with mediums. And I was in a really tricky place. How many people have been in tricky places, right? Where you're like asking for help. And went into her and I was like, something's leaning on me and I don't know what it is. And she's like, well, what is it? I was like, all right. She said, close your eyes. And I went into a channel session right away. And the reason why I went into a channel session right away is because before that, I studied dream work for like 10 years. And when I would tell my teacher the dream, she would say, what color was Mark's sweater? Because I dreamt about Mark, say. And I couldn't say, I don't know. I had to make up something right away. So I'd say brown. And she would tell me something profound. So I learned to trust whatever came. So I'm going to ask you, and you're all going to promise me this, to trust for 30 days. Okay? You're going to start today. And what you're going to do, it's going to sound crazy. I'm not going to have you going around squawking like Stephen, how'd you do, and meowing. But I'd like you to put your hands in the air and say, I promise to trust for 30 days. Just trust for 30 days. I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Now, here's the deal. 2 days in, you doubt. I want you to put your hand in the air and say, I promise to trust for 28 days. Okay, so you're going to have to learn how to count. I can guarantee you your hand will not go up after a certain amount of time. I bought my first house. I was in like $250,000 worth of debt. I was scared, really scared. And I kept talking to my guides and they said, you have to surrender to us for 30 days. So I did it. I just put my hand in the air. I kept saying, I trust you. I surrender. I surrender. Every time I got scared. The third day, they dropped in one of my biggest courses that I sold years ago, the 28-day challenge, constant communication with your guides. So I started working on it. Within like 2 days after that, I got the whole solution of how to get out of debt. I was out of debt within 2 months, that much money. That's what they can do for us. They can get us out of our own way. We need to get out of our own way. Here's the second thing. This is really important. You're the instrument. I'm not the instrument. You're the instrument. So how many times do you I'm not seeing like Mary Jo. I always have Southern people in my repertoire and I have no idea why. I'm from Brooklyn. I don't say Tony. I'm not hearing like Frank, You're not supposed to see like Sally Joe. You're not supposed to hear like Frank. It's your instrument. And if we're focused on everybody else, we're never going to learn how this works. So you have to learn how your instrument works. It's really important. So when I teach, and we're going to do this today, but what I want you to, I'm not going to be able to teach this part. So I just want you to pay attention to it. Notice how you hear. Notice how you see. Notice how you feel. And how many times, I work with thousands of people around the world. I forgot to tell you who I am, but I don't think that matters by now. So I was in entertainment. I worked for MTV. I worked for NBC. I won an Emmy. And then I decided to be an actress. I got the lead in an off-Broadway play. And then the dead just started talking to me and I had to figure it out. And that's where I'm here today. So many of you are in transition, right? You're trying to figure out. And I feel like I came home to my soul when I finally agreed to do this work. So, and I'm in an iteration right now in my business. I'm shifting it again. So we always shift and grow, but I'm in where I'm supposed to be, and I'm just figuring it out. And thank you for that. So the instrument, let me explain this really quick. I want you to pay attention to how you hear, how you see, how you feel. Notice where it hits you in your body. Let's ask this right now. Does anybody struggle with seeing? Because that's a common one. Yeah, that's okay. All right. So does anybody, are you able to hear the people who can't see? Are you able to feel? Okay, great. Close your eyes right now. I didn't know I was going to do this. I never know what I'm going to do because they're working with me. Breathe into your stomach or breathe into the power center inside your body. Whatever feels powerful. Take a couple of breaths. Now, I'm going to say something and you're either going to see it, you're going to hear it, or you're going to feel it. Now, what I'm going to say is probably just has a very slight sound. I want you to notice whichever one your prominent gift is, it doesn't matter. I want you to notice where you're seeing, where you're hearing, where you're feeling. Pick one of those that you're going to work with. See, hear, or feel. Just pick one of those. Okay, hummingbird. Hummingbird. Notice where you see it, if you see. Notice where you hear it. Might be the fluttering of the wings. Notice where you feel it. Open your eyes. Were you able to notice it? Okay. That's your instrument. When they talk to me, my guides, they talk here. When deceased people talk to me, they talk in the middle of my ear. Know it. It'll help you to stop doubting. That's the thing. And you'll stop comparing yourself. The other thing, spirit circles, people sit around, right, in the dark. That's what mediums do when they're practicing. So years ago, I did that. And the spirit would, they're all in the dark. You're sitting. I have a funny story about my ex-boyfriend who was dead and had me take off my bra in the middle of the spirit circle, but that's for another day. So anyway, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, you sit in a spirit circle, you sit in the dark, and you invite spirits in. And we did this quite a bit. And by the fourth or fifth time that we did it, this girl turned around to all of us. She's like, I'm not getting anything. You guys are getting paragraphs. I'm not getting anything. And we all looked at her like, what? She's like, I only get like 2 words. They were the most profound 2 words in those meetings. Don't discredit yourself, please. Okay, the third thing, Stephen talked about this, and to me, it's the most important. It's your imagination. That is where they play. When I started opening up to this, the internet wasn't around. Things like this weren't really around, or if they were, I didn't know about them. And my guides were teaching me because nobody else could teach me. I remember going into a bookstore, there was nothing on clairaudience. I had to learn it on my own. And I started studying with a couple of mediums, and they would like chastise people for using their imagination. Like, you're making it up. Don't make it up. You're making it up. And I remember saying to my guides at one point, because I was channeling and I record, and I was like, how do I know if I'm not making this up? And they said, who cares? We're giving you great advice. They were right. They were right. They are in the unknown. And there's so much magic in that unknown. And many of us have come from very difficult, traumatic lives. And they want to help us every single day. So what are the 3 things you're going to do? Trust. What's number 2? What? Learn your instrument, pay attention. However you guys interpret it, I don't care. There's no wrong or rights. That was one of the best things I learned from a medium. There's no wrong or rights. You have no business being wrong or right. Know yourself. Third thing, imagination. Great. Okay, let's talk about, I'm sure many of you know what a guide is, but I'm just going to, because it's in the book, and Ariel tells me sometimes I have to talk about the book. And it's a good book. You should read it. What are guides? Tell me what guides are. I don't need to answer this. Let's hear you guys say, what is a guide? Tell me like type of guides. What? Everybody's got to be loud like me. I think I'm the only loud one. I love that. Love that. Great. Anybody else? What kind of guides there are? What type? Any kind? What? Guardian angel. Beautiful. Beautiful. Ancestors. Love it. Although I don't like mine, but okay. Yeah. Yes. Perfect. Great. What else? Signs. Ancestors. You heard that part? Okay. And ascended masters. Great. Archangels. Great. Trees, rocks, mountains, water, light, color, music, musical symbols, instruments. Anything can be a guide. It's what you resonate with. Again, your instrument. So just do that. So you're going to all pick a guide right now. And again, like I said, when you go, you'll meet a guide. And I'm going to tell you something about these guides. These guides were channeled to me. So when I gave them to people, they started messaging me and going, I tried to Google them. They're not on Google. I'm like, no, they're not on Google. They came through me. And what happened was interesting. And I said, I want you to develop a relationship with that guide, not depend on Google or somebody else's interpretation. Do you know, to this I did this many years ago and I've changed them. I get messages to this day about how that guide that they chose has changed their life because they ended up trusting themselves. They built a relationship with that guide. So I want you, I don't care for today what you pick. You can pick whatever you want. But I want you to choose a guide, and then I want you to play with guides that you don't know. I want you to follow your own heart and soul. I know you all are very high consciousness. I get it. And I want it to even go higher. I want you to go even bigger and greater. Okay. So you're going to pick a guide. Everybody pick a guide. And if you struggle with picking a guide, I'll give you a guide. Might be Uncle Tony. You better be worried. Do you all have a guide? You don't. Okay. Archangel Michael. How's that? Is that good? Every day. See? You need a guide? Saint Germain, the first one. Saint Francis. I don't know why. Okay. Mary Magdalene. Okay. And then I'm just going to give a blank one. An astronaut that has passed. I have no idea why. Can you work with that? Thank you. Sally Ride. Even if you don't know what she looks like, even better. Okay. And then for everybody else, I'm just going to give a blank one. Okay. If that's okay, just because for the sake of time. Pocan. You don't know who Pocan is. You're the one who raised your hand. Now you got Pocan. I'll tell you about Pocan. She's a healer, and she teaches you how to heal others and heal yourself. And it doesn't mean you have to be a hands-on healer. Healing's through throat, through singing, through writing, through storytelling. We're all healers. Okay? And if you don't like that, pick Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, Jesus, Archangel Raphael. You can pick any of those, okay? And you could also pick an animal. Is everybody good? Oh, yeah. Who is that? Say that again. St. Bridget. I didn't know who that was. So you can pick St. Bridget. Sorry. I wasn't here in the morning if I missed something. Okay. When you ask a question, I want you to think of a question, but it can't be a yes or no question. And I'll tell you why. You can down the line, but not for today. The reason is that when we ask for yes or no answers, we're attached to the answer. And they will answer those questions, but sometimes we need to grow a bit before we can get that yes or no. Remember the whole butterfly thing, right? They wouldn't tell me. So I want you to think of a question, and this is how you can ask a question. Say you want to move. It's not, should I move to Marin? It's, what do I need to know about myself for this move? What can I learn right now to help me decide about this move? Where can I go to learn something more to decide on a move? I don't know. Just think where, what, how. Make it more of a question like that, a curious question. Okay. Does anybody have questions about that so far? No? All right, good. You all have a question? All right. Here's the last part. If you can't see, don't worry about it because I'm going to work with inner guidance. You're going to work with breath and inner guidance. You're going to learn very specific things in this meditation. But right now, pick a color associated with your guide. Even if you can see, pick a color. They're telling me to pick a color. Pick a shape. If you can't see it, just trust it's purple. It's purple. It's right in front of me. That's it. Okay. All right, great. Close your eyes. Breathe into your power center. Take a few breaths. Matter of fact, Spirit's asking that you run a cord down to the bottom of the earth to ground your energy. And if you don't see the cord, it doesn't matter. Use your breath as the cord. And you're sending it down into the earth. And then as you inhale in, it is giving you what you need in order to know what it is you need to know. Find a place inside of you that this infinite wisdom lives. You're all extremely talented, extremely gifted. If you can't find the place, choose it. Breathe into it and notice that your breath is giving it power, is giving it energy. Notice that your breath is all you need. Send the breath out your crown chakra, all the way up into the space, into the sky. And just take a few moments now, breathing from up above to down below, just grounding yourself in this meditation. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to call in your guide. But here's the thing. Your guide is going to stand in a specific location. And they have to be in that location. Now, you get to choose it, or they may show it to you. If they're inside of you, that is okay too. I think it's best sometimes to work with them outside of you, like a good friend. Now, see where your guide is and send them breath. And when you inhale, they are sending you breath. And as you exhale, you're sending them breath. And as you inhale, they are sending you breath. And take a few breaths on your own right now, breathing with them. And if at any time you don't feel comfortable or safe, just move them out a little bit. And if you're unclear of who your guide is, go to that color and breathe with that color. Now this cord is like an umbilical cord of energy between the two of you. And I want, as you breathe out to them, you see it traveling down this cord to them. And as you inhale in, they're coming back to you. And I'm going to have you take a few moments, I'll get quiet, where you just breathe in this cord of energy to them. Now the cord is going to become a color. You may see the color, you may hear the color, you may even decide what color it is, but you have to choose a color. Breathe that color. And again, it doesn't matter if you see it because you can breathe the word. Now come back to yourself and open your eyes. We're going to continue on in a second. Tell me some colors that you got. What color did you get? Blue, green, great. Turquoise, great. Teal, great. Gold, red, silver, violet, and you. Milky white, great. And you had one? Pink, great. I always ask secret questions. And I got to read my writing. This is the chakra that you have to work on with your guide. This color represents chakra. So say you got silver. Who got silver? Great. What do you think silver is associated with? What chakra? It's probably your crown. It's probably your crown. Who got gold? What color, what chakra is the gold? What do you think it is? All right, you went to your heart. Great. So if you got a color, stay with your heart then. I would say gold would be crown or your heart. It doesn't mean the other answer is wrong. Your throat might also be something you have to work on. But a lot of you got colors that aren't associated with the colors of the chakras. Everybody knows the color of the chakras, right here? No, great. Okay, I'll do that. Thank you. Red is the first chakra, which is all about belief systems, making money through spiritual truths. And it's at the base of the spine, base of the cervix. Second chakra below the navel is orange. It's creativity. Third chakra is yellow. It's above the navel. It's clairsentience for me, intuition, and it's above the navel. Heart chakra is green, empathic ability. That's where you can work on empathic ability. Higher heart chakra can be the teal, the mixture of the blue and the green, or it could be pink. It's compassion for self. Throat chakra is sky blue, usually blue. That's clairaudience, clear hearing. That's why she's coughing, because her clairaudience is opening. Your face can be a chakra too, if you want it to be. I don't know what color it wants to be for you. Third eye is indigo. Indigo. And we all have different understanding of indigo. That's clairvoyance. Crown chakra can be white with iridescent. For me, it's iridescent. Could be lavender. It could be lavender specks. It could be gold because gold's a very high spiritual color. So it could be that. Okay? So here's the thing. We're going to go into another part of this. You have a question. Your question is getting answered whether you realize it or not. This is all information. And whether you get the answer today, a lot of times you don't. I teach a thing called the ... technique. What the ... technique means is if I say to you, you asked if you were going to move and you said, I only got the color blue. You don't just stay there. You don't put a period. You go, what does blue mean? What do I need to learn about blue? What do I think about blue? We're going to learn the symbolic language of the soul. I'm going to get through all this, I promise. You're going to love it. So now we're going to go to another part. You ready for the second part? Okay, close your eyes. Breathe. Breathe into that power center again. Breathe with your guide. Know that you can't get this wrong or right. It just is. And your guide is showing you an animal. What animal are they showing you? And just take a notice of it. And here's my question for you. How do you feel about this animal? What is this animal's strongest characteristic? What is this animal's strongest characteristic? Okay, you can open your eyes. I want to make sure I have time. I do. Good. What animal did you get? Turtle. What was the strongest characteristic? The shell. But what about it? It held so strong. Even with trauma, it still was strong. I'll just repeat, Ariel. It's okay. The slowest. Go slow and steady, possibly. Try to get... Right. Great. Love it. Great. You got messages. That's messages. I'm going to take one more, and I promise we'll have time. I want to go to the person all the way in the back in the thing, but you're going to have to talk as loud as me, girl. Look, trust me, my microphone, they'll all hear me. Baby lion. Perplexed her. Go ahead. Great. Great. I'm going to tell you the secret question. So she got a tiger, right? A baby tiger? Baby lion. And it perplexed her because she didn't really have compassion for it. And then she realized that it was teaching. She got pink too, that it was about compassion for herself. If I butchered that, I'm sorry. Did I get that right? Great. So the secret question for the animal was what they need to embrace to communicate with their guide more. What you need to embrace to communicate with your guide. And we will leave time for Q&A. So if anybody's confused, I will answer your question. Okay. But you need to embrace self-compassion. You need to probably go a little more slow and steady with your guides because you're probably like me, I'm a really fast reader. And maybe they just want you to slow down a tiny bit to learn some stuff. And that's it. Got it. Great. Okay, third one. You ready, guys? Close your eyes. I want you first to congratulate yourself for doing the work. I think one of the hardest things, just go with me for a second because there's energy in my vibration of my voice, is when we're as powerful as we are and we're sitting in a place like this that we're sitting in, you all are so ready to jump out of your seat and be who you're meant to be. And Spirit is like, please, please, please be who you're meant to be. So I want you to see your guide again. They should still be standing in the same place. I would like them to stand in the same place for 30 days. I want you to breathe with them. They're giving you a song. Your guide is giving you a song. What song is it? And whether you know the song or not does not matter. What song are they giving you? And I want you to notice where you hear the song. Where in your physical being do you hear the song? Okay, you can open your eyes. Songs are a great way that our guides communicate with us. How many here wake up with songs in their heads? Right? That's clairaudience. That's clear hearing. Look up the lyrics, listen to the song, sing the song, because the way of learning clairaudience is actually speaking out loud sometimes, because you'll learn how you hear, and it can be very healing. It's a great way of learning it. So what songs did somebody get? Somebody tell me. Somebody can be really loud. You got to be loud. Great. Love it. Born in the USA. Okay, so the secret question is, what do you need to believe in yourself and your guides? What do you think you need to believe in yourself and your guides? What does Born in the USA say? What is the song about? What do you think Bruce Springsteen was saying when he sang that song? Yes, proud. Be proud. Be proud working with your guides and your gifts. Okay? Who else wants to give me a song? Who haven't I picked? Did I pick you? Yeah. Go ahead. What did you get? Ah, love it. Okay, wait, I have to remember the secret questions. What do they need to believe in themselves and their guides? So what do you think you need to believe up, up, and away in a beautiful balloon that your guides is telling you you have to believe in yourself and your guides? Great. That's it. It's trust. It's trust. Another trick I want to give you guys really quickly, because you went into your head with that, which is totally fine. We're learning the instrument. When you're working with clairvoyancy, clairaudience, and empathic ability, say, I see, I hear, I feel. Whenever you say, I think, you'll know you're in your mind. Okay? Great. I'll take one more song and then I have one more thing. Go ahead. Great. Ain't no sunshine where she's gone. What do you think they're trying to tell you right now in order to work on believing in them and yourself with that song? Being present. Great. What's going to blow some of you away is when you go and look up the lyrics. It's really going to be incredible. Okay. I got like Barry Manilow's Miracle. And when I listened to it and watched it, and I was asking about, I'm shifting again in my business, I was blown away by the message. All right. So let's just close out real quick, and then I'm going to play another game with you, and then I'm going to take questions. Do you believe that you can see, hear, and feel your guides? Yeah. Great. Okay. Close your eyes a second. Remember that power space. It's not my power place. It's your power place. Breathe into it. Breathe with your guide. And if you're comfortable, I want you to make a commitment with them right now that they stay in the same place for 30 days, that you talk to them every day for 30 days. Now, you could talk to them when you're brushing your teeth. They don't care. It's all intention. And I want you to promise that you're going to trust, you're going to use your imagination, and most importantly, you're going to give yourself your own instrument the credit. You don't need me to repeat what I said. I want you to say it in your own words if you feel good. And I don't like the word pact because I don't work in formula, but I would like you to just talk with them right now, making a commitment to continue this work with them. And I would take the question that you have, I'm going to say one more thing, and just put that question out there to them in this intention of working with them. And I guarantee you'll get an answer soon. Okay. You can open your eyes. Thank them also. Thank them. Great. Let me talk to you real quickly about the symbolic language of your soul. My guides speak to me in vibration. I didn't know that until I was talking to them for quite some time. And I interpret the vibration in my own words. And then I learned like years later, I was always telling people this is how I do it. Esther Hicks does it this way too. I was like, great. I'm not alone. Those moments are amazing because you get to feel like you didn't know it and then you learn it and you're like, oh, great, I'm not crazy. This is good. So they speak to me in vibration. They taught me early on the symbolic language of my soul because what a butterfly means to me is different than what it means to you. And I want you, as much as Google's great and we have a whole slew of books out there that tell you different meanings of things, I want you to learn what it means for you because your guides are speaking to you through your life experience. That's what symbolic language of your soul means. So when I was in a reading and I would get a pumpkin, what does a pumpkin mean to you? What does pumpkin mean to you? Halloween, what? Jack-o'-lantern, pumpkin? What? Thanksgiving, great. What about you? Pumpkin. Heart sweater. Yeah. Halloween, great. What do you think? Cinderella, that's mine too. High five. Here's another one real quick. We're going to do one. Butterfly. What is a butterfly? Somebody who hasn't spoken. Butterfly. What does a butterfly mean to you? We got to pick out the men in the audience. Flight. Great. Somebody else. Metamorphosis. Soft. Anybody else? Light. You all just interpreted something not using Google based on your own life experience. Your guides are talking to you through your life experience. And when you're reading another person, you will use that. You will use it. It'll come in. There will be times your guides will tell you, I'd go into a reading and I'd be like, don't just hand me a symbol and don't tell me what it means because I was building my symbolic library. And so I would go into a reading and I was reading this one girl and her mom was there and they gave me a banana, but they didn't tell me what it meant. And I never had a banana. I don't remember readings, but I didn't have that symbol before. So I didn't have the language right there. And I was like, they're handing me a banana? And she said, oh, my mother was always giving me bananas when I was leaving the house. So you don't know what this stuff means, but you could say to your guides, tell me what it means. We're going to play right now. You ready to play? All right, good. I want to just make sure I hit all the points. Oh, this is important. So I'm studied tarot for years. I teach tarot. I was learning with this curmudgeon. She was the president of the Tarot Association. She knew the cards like nobody's business, like knew them inside and out. And I learned them that way. And you know what happened? My intuition flew out right out the window. I couldn't read the cards because I was like, what does that mean again? I'm going to get it wrong. I'm going to get it wrong. So I had to let that go. It was great. I'm glad I learned it because I could teach it now. But now I want you to learn what things mean, like what a bear means, but then make it your own. Okay. All right. Lamp. You can write this down if you want. What does lamp mean to you? Matter of fact, think of your question as you do this. Think of your question. What does lamp mean to you? How do you feel about lamps? How do you feel about them? Can you think of a lamp in your house or in your life, like a specific lamp that you know of? What do you think about that lamp? Trying to give the people that are writing a little time. All right. This is where I want you to use your imagination. You can close your eyes if you want to. It's up to you. That lamp has words of wisdom for you. What are the words of wisdom that lamp has for you? I love that you just said it out loud. What was it, honey? Enlightening, right? I'm going to ask all of you in a second. Okay. I want you to take those answers and make it into a sentence, if you can. So mine was about shifting my business. And I'll give this to you real quick because I want you to do it for yourself. I'll actually let you guys do it first because you're all smart. Create a sentence from it. Create a reading from this lamp. What is this lamp really communicating to you through the meaning of it, how you feel about it, and words of wisdom? What is it telling you to do? Okay, go ahead. You wanted to tell me. What is the lamp telling you? In the way that is what? Uniquely hers. She's here to illuminate what was once dark, that is uniquely hers. I'm missing it up. Do you believe that? Great. Beautiful. Great, great, great. And then I'll go to you, Anu, and then we'll do more in a second. What can you speak really loud? That's beautiful. When she's at work, she's going to be a beautiful soft lamp, not a fluorescent light. Follow the light. It'll guide you to your highest good. So did you need Google? No. No. I'm going to take some more in a few minutes. So this is the symbolic language of your soul. And if you're washing the dishes, walking your dogs, just doing what you're doing, this is how they talk to you. Everything is a symbol. Every single thing. I think I shared this, I may not have. When I was teaching dream work, somebody said to me, what's a symbol in the dream? Everything. Uncle Harry's a symbol. And I want you to get how to do this because it's really going to help you to communicate with your guides. Okay, so we have time now. Oh, wait. I know there's more. There's another page, but I'm done. So we can do questions or if you want to share what you got. Okay, so you did it. You saw, heard, and felt a guide. Where's the beautiful photographer? Is she still in the room? Were you able to get something? What did you get? Anything? Good. I did my job. Amazing Grace. Yeah. Great. So I want to show something. Congratulations. You just said something huge. I saw. This is the woman who said she couldn't see. Exactly. Thank you, Beth. Okay. So I'm going to, if anybody wants to ask me what their symbol meant or anything, but before we do that, what's the three things you're going to, I gave you a lot, but what's the three things you're going to, well, actually I gave you more than three. You're going to talk to your guide every day for 30 days. Okay. And then she just said it. What's number one? Trust. What's number two? Use your instrument and trust it. She just used her instrument and she saw. She wasn't expecting it to be like something else. What's the third thing? Imagination. And I promise you, it'll change your life. It has changed my life. When I started seeing my guides and talking to my guides, I went to a medium who's not with us anymore, Hans King. And I was really losing my mind because I didn't know what the F was going on. And he said to me, learn to use your gifts. It'll change your life in ways that you can't even imagine. And he was so right. And it'll do the same. It's already doing the same for all of you. I know that you're already at accelerated levels. Thank you. So we have some time to any questions, any shares. We have 15 minutes. Ariel's got a mic. Thanks, Ariel. And then there's somebody up here. And thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks. Here.
Hello,
Hi, what's your name?
Lisa.
Lisa. I love names.
Uh,
I'll never remember it, though. I'll tell
okay.
you that.
I won't hold you to it. It's
Thank
okay.
you, Lisa.
You said something a while back that triggered a memory about hearing music at night. I used to wake up with like beautiful symphonies playing that, you know,
Yes.
that you wouldn't hear here.
In the physical world.
music, right?
Yeah.
And also when I was younger, I would be woken up by a cacophony of just voices talking, sounds and voices. And I had read in a book at one time, I can't remember which author, that if you don't want that to happen, you can ask for it to stop.
Yes.
And I asked for it to stop, and it has never done it since. And it used to happen all the time. But I wondered if that was a mistake. Now I kind of miss it, like I would like to hone in on it and maybe see what it's all about. So
this is great. So that's clear audience. That's clear hearing. You will hear music. Sometimes I hear great songs and I'm like, man, I wish I could write that down because I'd probably be a #1 Billboard artist or whatever, right? Here's the thing that I tell people. How many of us shut down our gifts because we were scared? Like got things when we were younger. You can always open it up. The issue becomes when you want it to be like it was, it will never be.
Okay, that's probably the key right there.
Yes.
Because I
So
have asked. But
yeah, so just be like, I'm open now. And what I tell people is just having the intention alone, you will start noticing. But if you want it to be like it was, you'll be looking somewhere and they'll be giving you something else. And they're like, hey, we're right here. And you're like, no, I'm sorry, I'm over there. And it doesn't work. Okay?
Yes.
Great job, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, right up here, Ariel, you'll have to travel. I hope those shoes are comfortable. Mine are. Right here, right here. I could give her mine, I guess.
My name is Nikki.
Hi, Nikki.
Hi. When we were tuning into the animal, I got the message from the animal was stealth.
Great.
So I couldn't figure out what that was.
Great. So let's do this. This is wonderful. Are you comfortable with sharing? No, don't do that yet. What does stealth mean to you? Or what is your understanding of stealth?
I guess it makes me feel like sneaky, but that's a negative connotation, and maybe there's a positive connotation of stealth.
Okay. So if we didn't take negative or positive and it just meant sneaky, what do you think you're supposed to be sneaking? What are you sneaking around doing in your life right now that is not helping you?
No. I mean,
Are you hiding
stealth,
anywhere?
Yeah.
Where are you hiding?
Well, just not coming out with, I guess, what I'm supposed to be doing out in the world.
Yeah. Andrew, what does stealth mean again, Ariel? Do you know? Isn't it strength or something, or no? It's a cloak. It's a cloak.
Yeah, I get dark when I see it. I get darkness. Like you're moving around in the darkness.
I got the answer for you.
You did.
I got strength. That's why. So you don't have to hide your gifts anymore. You're not supposed to hide anymore. The stealth is telling you to stop. So where did you say you got the word stealth? Where did it come in?
From the animal.
What was the animal?
Lynx.
What is a lynx for you? What are lynx' main characteristic besides stealth? What else do they do? What do you think? Are you afraid of a lynx?
No, I have one on my arm.
Oh my goodness. And you don't know what lynx means to you? And it's tattooed on you?
Spiritually, I think they're the seers between the two worlds.
Yeah. Yeah. You're being called to be the seer of two worlds. You're being called to be the lynx. And it's not sneaky, and it's not wrong, and it's not negative. It is what you're meant to do. Yeah. That's what I would say. Thank you. There's a card that keeps coming in. It's the 5 of Cups. 5 of Cups that keeps showing me. So I would read a little bit about the 5 of Cups. And the thing about the 5 of Cups is there are 3 cups up, I think, or 3 cups down and 2 cups up. I can't remember what it is. And what it's teaching you is that you're not supposed to abandon all your life experience to carry it into where you're going. So remember, I started out with that formula: life experience plus skills plus passion equals purpose. You're not having to become something new. You're meant to take what you know in your life and become this person. Do you understand what I'm saying? Don't get rid of all of yourself. Bring it with you. But the parts that you need to abandon is the part that you're ashamed or scared of. Okay? Does that make sense? Great.
I have a question.
Great.
or something I want you to speak to.
Yeah.
Because when people have messages or you're having conversations, it's not necessarily, it's for them, but it's not solely for them. So speak to the collective message, or if there's people in the audience who are like that, so resonates with me, or that's how I feel.
Great. That's what you mean, right?
Right. So as far as like, this is your message, but it could be a message for many people
everybody.
sitting in the audience as well.
Yeah. It's a really good point. So usually when I do readings and I do group readings, I can't get to everybody, right? I go, and when I'm speaking to, what's your name? Charisse. We've met before, I think. That's okay. We haven't. We can talk later. Sorry, Charisse. When I talk to Charisse, if it resonates with that person, that person, that person, it's a reading for everybody. They know who's going to be in the room. They know exactly what everyone needs to hear. And they know who needs to speak at that exact moment in order to have the greatest rippling effect. So when I do like certain talks, what I have people do is I have people write down whatever resonates with them. So say I only get to 3 people in the room, everybody else would write down a question. They would write down whatever resonated with them. And by the end of the talk, everybody would have a reading. Is that helping answer it? Is there something you want to add?
No, that's what I wanted you to share with the audience, because I just feel that many people were like, wait, that is so meaningful for me as well.
Yes, great. Thank you, Ariel. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Told you just say it over and over, and I being shy, but I'm just going to go forward with it. In the Native American belief, and a lot of people here probably know this about animals, she mentioned hiding, and lynx represents secrets.
Represents what?
Secrets.
Secrets.
in the
Great.
Native American.
So is there anything else you want to share about that?
Something just kept telling me to tell you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
You spoke earlier and just quickly about being an empath. And I was wondering if you could speak to that a little more.
Well, that's a big topic. We need a whole conference for that. Is there anything in particular? What? 5 minutes, yeah. Yeah. So she asked how you cope. Here's the thing that I've learned, and I'm really.
Can I interrupt for 1 second about that? Because we are speaking about guides and guidance. So please answer that, but also that your empathic abilities are also a guide for you.
Oh, I love that. I don't know that I would have answered it that way, but
Well, I've learned that from you.
Oh, okay. I channel stuff. So let me start out with this. And if I miss something, please let me know, Ariel, because I appreciate the cooperation. For me, empaths learned to hide in order to protect themselves. And they can't hide any longer, because this heart, when we open it and work with it, we do so much more for the world, and we don't harm ourselves anymore. Actually, the belief is that you harm yourself if you go out there. The truth is, if you go out there and you use your gifts and you allow yourself to feel, but know how to take care of yourself, you're doing so much more for the world. So so this is guidance to you, and it is teaching you how to be who you want to be. But was there something specific that I said that you remember that I don't?
Well, your empathic abilities are messages for you. You know, how the sensations through your body, or they're kind of your tuning forks as you go out. But there's deeper guidance. So the empaths receiving guidance quite a bit if you pay attention to it.
Yes, she's right. So this is an instrument that I use whenever I'm reading people. And it's so important. You don't want to turn this off, because I may read you right now and go, wow, I'm feeling a little bit of sadness in the upper heart area. And it feels like you're a little bit like taken back, whatever it might be that comes in. And that is guidance. That is teaching, saying something to me to help you, to move you forward. And the beautiful thing about being a reader, if you want to be a reader, is that we're able to turn off that side inside of us, yet still feel it, but I'm not crying with you. And then I'll say the last thing about, so it is, you can't turn this off. This is our instrument. So much comes through it. Did that answer it? I hope so.
Absolutely.
Of course, you could get my book and it'll say more.
She does speak about it in the book, and we're kind of to the end of but we have to hold the questions for now. However, we're going to take a break, a half an hour break. The authors will be available for more book signings, so just to chat. The Akasha, Lisa Barnett will be on after that with the Akashic Records, and then Marilyn, Suzanne, and Lisa will be back for a Q&A. So you can ask those questions at the Q&A then. And then we're going to wrap up with a beautiful goddess ceremony and possibly more singing with Anadea Judith. So it's if you'd like to take a break and be back at 4, we're going to start with the Akashic Records promptly at 4.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.